here with Beechwood football coach Noel Rash. Coach, let's start off with the big topic of the week. Obviously, was realignment. When you saw it, I'm guessing you kind of knew what was coming. What were your thoughts?
Well, I didn't get too involved on the front end of politicking for what we need to do. I mean, our association did. And I love our association and what they're about. But so whatever came out on the back end, I wasn't going to complain about. There's too many people like that, so that don't do much on the front end and complain. My thing was whatever they stick me with, they stick me with, and even that has a negative connotation. But I think the state's trying to do what they believe is best for football. It isn't always what's best for your program or your the situation you're in right now. But one of the things Julian said that really stuck with me. Participation in the sport of football is up in the state of Kentucky, and that is their ultimate goal from the state. And to me, that's a heck of a goal to have. I mean, if you're going to run an organization that's statewide, if that's your goal, that's a good goal. And if that's what's going on, then great. I would rather it go back to 4 classes like it always was. But I'm a traditionalist. I'm a conservative. That's what I'd like to see. But it is what it is right now, and so we'll play in the ballpark they put us in.
You guys are one of the bigger 1A teams in the state. Would you rather be 2A?
Oh, certainly, and you and I have talked about this, and because when you look at the 2A, and I was sitting there counting on my fingers how many great programs are in there with Russell and Owensboro Catholic and LCA and Newport Central Catholic, and there's just a lot of great programs in 2A, and this really would be a great test for your school, your program, and year in and year out, there's going to be and I look at 2A and I think the 2A could be as good as. You get your Trinities and your X's, but 2A can compete. There's teams in there that can compete with anybody year in and year out. So you come out on top of that thing, and you can feel pretty good like you're one of the best programs in the state.
What in 1A now? I mean, you guys are going to be favoring that district for forever. How long? I mean, you obviously are now. What's it like coaching, preparing for those games, and keeping kids interested? I mean, because facts are facts. You guys win those games fairly easily. I mean,
well, we've been able to as of late, but there's you got to be conscious, especially me, of your surroundings. And what I mean by that is this: yes, we've gone through a good spell, but the Daytons and the Skirvins, the Bellevues and the Bucklers, and the Lincoln Adamses, and the Hissongs, and it's Ludlow. I remember Matt Mercer, who's on my staff, his senior year. It's 14-0 at halftime in the playoff game. So yes, we're going through a good run, but you got to be leery that if you don't keep sharpening the saw, you don't stay on top like that. So, and I think that's what motivates our players is the fact that we want to remain elite, and in order to do that, you do win, and sometimes you win handily, and we've been able to do that as of late, but you got to keep working at it.
Is it tough for the kids your starters who aren't playing in the second half of any of their district games in a week like this? Is it tough to get them up and going and say, listen, we got to go play a football game when they didn't have to play a whole lot?
Well, I think when you get in those situations, I try never to approach the week that way.
Yeah.
But when it does happen during the game, what you're constantly talking about is play Beechwood football, play at a high level, keep competing at a high level, and then when you're able to stick in your substitutes, you want them playing at a high level. So I don't know if you ever get away from let's put it on cruise control, because if you do, then all of a sudden you're on the L side of things, and it isn't difficult, and I wish I had the exact answer for that, but it's just football is such a difficult sport, and on any given play, you can have your life taken from you. You can certainly lose the ability to ever play again. Yeah. So I think those things, along with the fact that anybody can beat you on any given night, keep kids motivated, and then we have a pretty darn good staff that keeps them motivated.
Yeah, Beechwood for years and years and years, statewide and locally, was known as such a football power, and the other sports were just kind of here. In recent years, basketball, with Coach Shoemate, has gotten a lot better. Baseball with Meyerhoff has gotten a lot better. How's that affected you guys?
Oh, I think ultimately it has a positive impact. Small school, you're sharing athletes anyway. What's become more difficult in the modern era is because all the programs go over top each other. You got year-round baseball, basketball wants to be year-round, soccer. I mean, football was the first sport to be year round, but we don't play year round. We just lift. So then you start competing for athletes' time, and what you do in a small school is you don't compete for their time. You make them. You do your best to make them feel good about playing another sport or playing 3 sports. Now the recruiting thing is the thing that's the real negative in there, because they're starting to recruit kids when they're freshmen and so. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't have any. I'm not a fan of any of that, because I think it puts too much weight on kids that don't understand it all.
Yeah.
Having said that, the parents see it, and then they start making kids become one-sport athletes, and I understand. I understand why they're where they're at, but I also am in a small school where I want kids to play other sports. And when you got good coaches like Coach Shoemate and Coach Meyer, they're teaching the same, ideology that I'm teaching.
Yeah.
Commitment and sacrifice and hard work, and
yeah.
So I think it all works.
You brought up Coach Meyerhoff, and from what I understand, you were kind of somewhat key in getting him over to Beechwood. How's he been able to do what he's been able to do, taking a program that was where it was to state power?
He is as passionate as anybody about the sport.
Yeah.
He is baseball 24/7, and when you're like that, and you can surround yourself with good coaches like Dave Bioni and a Bobby Mullins and those guys, and they can put the message out, the same message out in a different way. Bob's much like me. He can be pretty gruff and pretty intense, and that works well most of the time. But then you need those other coaches to put the message out in a different way. And I think he's surrounded himself with great people. He's a baseball guy, but his passion for it is infectious.
Yeah.
And I think, and then he has a brand of baseball that fits perfectly with small school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you combine those two things. And then you combine the kind of kids that we have here that will totally commit for you and sell out for you, and you get a winner like he has.
Yeah. Fill in the blank. High school football coaches should focus more on blank and less on blank.
Woo. I know what my wife would say. More on family and less on winning.
Work.
That inherently has a negative in it. I don't know if there's. I don't find the negatives. More on with D'Antonio and the situations that are coming up. I think more on your personal health.
Yeah.
And less on staying away from home. I say that and I don't do any of it. So, but that's the first thing that came to mind when you said that.
Yeah.
There's probably a better answer, but that's the first thing that hits me.
What you were on Thomas Moore's first team, right?
Correct. I'm wearing my dog tag from it. I forgot I had it on.
What's it like looking at what they have now compared to what you guys had when you first started?
Well, I didn't make it over, and Jimmy Hilbert and I have spoken several times through the recruiting process, and Matt's over there. But the kids are bigger, faster, and stronger.
Yeah.
We were pretty darn good. I was lucky. I mean, we were undefeated in '91 and went to the playoffs in '92, and I think they're probably bigger, faster, and stronger. I think that's probably the case. I don't know that for sure. I haven't looked at rosters and things like that, but what I do notice is the fact that they're competing at a high level like we were able to,
yeah.
and continue it. And like Mike always told me in this position, it's one thing getting on top. The hardest thing in the world is staying on top.
Yeah.
And I think Thomas Moore's got their program where it's a top 10 program year in and year out nationally. And that takes a lot of effort by the coaches and by players. But I think the biggest thing it says is this area is one heck of a place for football players.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.